Yeah. How many of you guys enjoy Breakfast of Champions on Facebook? And if you're not seeing that, you need to, because it is the real deal. How many of you guys enjoy Rich's podcast? Yeah, here we go, Rich. And if you're not, then you need to connect with Rich on Facebook, and you need to connect with him on his podcast. He's got a lot of coaching and different things going on in the private money lending world. And I've known Rich a long time. Him and Stephanie are good people. They live locally, have amazing kids, not far from where we're at. His wife, Stephanie, is also super smart, incredibly smart, and also is an author. And Rich, I just want to tell you, like genuinely, I just love our friendship over all these years. And I've been cheering for you ever since the day we met at Chick-fil-A many years ago. So on your feet, a loud round of applause for Rich Lennon.
Thank you, brother. I had to remind myself. This really hit me hard, this one right here. And if you want to understand artificial intelligence, and that's what I'm going to try to do today, this statement sums it up for me here pretty good. In 10 years, your intelligence isn't going to matter. In 10 years. This was a conversation that I heard. This is a conversation I heard between Elon Musk and Ted Cruz. I encourage you to write that down, and I encourage you to go back and you look at that interview. And Ted Cruz had asked Elon Musk, and he said, hey, who are the 10 smartest people in the world? And Elon went off to name who he thought the 10 smartest people in the world were going to be. And then it's always, with Elon, it's always the off-the-cuff things that he says that really, the things that you have to pay attention to. And one thing that he said, because everybody thinks Elon Musk is smart, and he thinks he's smart, and we all think he's smart, but he's the one who came out there and said, hey, his intelligence isn't going to matter in 10 years, and that he has an advantage now, and he's going to lose that advantage in 10 years, where you being smarter than the person next to you is no longer going to matter in the course of human history. And it's significant. If you think that AI isn't as smart as a human right now, you're ill-informed. Right? ChatGPT in January beat the ARC test. The ARC test was a bunch of people, nonprofits got together, threw in, they collected $1 million. They made up and they said, if you score so much on this test, now artificial intelligence is as smart as a human. We did that in January with ChatGPT 3.5. It passed the ARC test, which basically said it's artificial general intelligence. And like a natural human being, we just moved the bar farther and we said, no, you're not. But AI right now is smarter than a PhD professor in every category, right? In every single category that there is, AI can beat a human being. The issue with AI is that it's massively laser focused and can really only focus on one thing at a time. But in 10 years, you sitting here as a business person, your intelligence to compete against your competitors won't matter. In 10 years, probably closer to 5 or 10 years, there's going to be tens of billions of humanoid robots walking around the planet. I posted on Facebook about a week ago and I said, hey, if you put a roof on your house within the last 10 years, the next roof that you put on your house is going to be put on by your personal robot that follows you around, and you're never going to have to put another roof on your house again. And I couldn't believe the amount of kickback I got from that online. People coming to me saying, nah, the slope of the roof is too complicated, okay? The robot won't be able to lift the shingles up the ladder. I hope you didn't say that if you're in this room. I don't know who said it. But I was really surprised, and it really informed me how ill-informed people are about how far this stuff has come along. I thought that robots would be the limiting factor of AI and that we would have more time, and in fact, we don't. The robots are way ahead of anybody's schedule. I didn't think they would get there, and the robots are coming, and they're gonna be a huge part of your life and your children's lives from now on moving forward. Tens of billions in a world where there's only like 8 billion human beings. We'll get to the Terminator. These AI robots today, this is Boston Dynamics, this is Atlas. This thing does breakdancing, okay? And recently, the robotics can now do a front flip. If we have any gymnastic people in the room, a backflip is not that hard, except for Rich Lennon, who never could do it, okay? But the front flip was the next thing, and they passed that about a month ago in China, where they were able to get the front flip in. This is Blue. Blue's version this is NVIDIA's robot. They're gonna rent this to you, by the way. It has 2 of the best supercomputers in the world built into it. By the way, it's intentional. It looks like R2-D2, right? They're appealing to your subconscious for sure. But this is the first robot that will likely be in your house. It'll be smarter than your dog. It'll watch your kids. It'll report on break-ins. It'll keep your schedules for you, and they're gonna rent it to you. It's gonna be dirt cheap. It's gonna be cheaper than your cell phone, and it's gonna be in your house before you know it. And then you go to the point where you can't live without them. This one is freaky. This one's coming out of China, and they taught this one how to do karate. You can go online and you can watch this thing perform karate moves against other people, and you can be like, that's kind of awkward. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that, right? This robot that's out there on those videos, it costs $16,000. $16,000, cheaper than any car that you could ever get, right? And this will be the smartest thing that's on the planet. I wanted to say it before, but of course I forgot because my slides only have 3 words on them, right? But we've already achieved artificial general intelligence, and we're looking to achieve artificial super intelligence, and we're gonna get there in the next 5 to 10 years. So these robots, as an individual, will be walking around and will be smarter than the accumulation of the human history. Seems like we should talk about this. When you watch that Ted Cruz interview, Elon always says what is really on his mind, and because of what you think of him, he is on the frontier of all this stuff, and it's worth listening to his opinions about what he thinks. And in the typical course of an Elon interview, Ted Cruz asks in a very offhanded way, he goes, ha ha ha, did you really make these out of the iRobot freaky things? And Elon just kind of dismissed the question. And then Ted Cruz followed up with it, and he said, well, are we gonna have Skynet soon? And Elon goes, yeah, probably. He put it at 20% chance in the next 5 years. And I'll be honest, if you listen to the interview, I think he wanted to say 20 to 30% chance. But Ted Cruz freaked out, so he said 20 to 10% chance that the robots are gonna kill us. Typical Elon fashion, he's like, hey, the glass is 80% full. So no matter what we do, we're gonna go through this. It'll be the defining thing of our generation. I think it is so awesome that I was born in this era where I could watch that happen, and I could watch a huge evolution of human history occur. And I'm super excited about it. Assuming Skynet doesn't get us, let's talk about what the benefits of AI will be. Let's talk about the 80% or 70% or 90%, whatever you want to be. If we live the moment where we don't get destroyed, and we live in those moments all the time. We have in human history, whether it's an asteroid coming in or the Cuban Missile Crisis or all the stuff they got going over in Ukraine, if they might lob bombs. These things are happening around us all the time. But AI, let's just put aside that they might kill us, and let's talk about the advantages. AI is going to be the great democratizer of our time. It's going to make it so that poverty goes away. It's going to make it so that you can very inexpensively and cheaply have the best advice in the history of the world on your lapel, and then you can get it. To launch OpenAI cost $50 billion for the 3.5 version. DeepSeek, 3 months later, came out and produced the same AI for $5 million in 3 months. About 3 months after that, and I forget the name of it, I probably should know it, Stanford released something that was very competitive, and they built it for $300. And that happened in 6 months. So we went from 50 billion to 300. And that's the great democratization that's going to happen. You all will have access to it. People all over the planet, it'll be more common than a cell phone. Everybody will have access to the same thing, and the elite or whoever they are, they won't be able to keep it out of your hands, right? Once it's released, it's out there, and it's out there for us all. And what it'll do is it'll create abundance. Those robots will basically be free. You will lack for nothing. You will lack for no service and no goods, because you'll be able to produce them in the cheapest way possible ever in human history. You could have a robot totally devoted to growing the crops that you want it to and shooing away the deer when it comes to eat it. Because they need to sleep, maybe they need to recharge. Anybody who owns a garden knows my feelings on that. And not only will it be able to grow it for you, it'll be able to cook it for you, and it'll be able to present it to you, and you won't have to do anything, and it'll all almost be for free. So as long as Skynet doesn't get us, the future looks really positive, and we're lucky that we get to go through it. So what does life become? Life becomes fulfillment. Like, are you a spiritual person? There's a lot of spirituality in this group, right? You can devote your life to whatever you want, because for the first time in human history, we won't have to chase after anything. And that's really only 5 to 10 years away. And so your total life and everything about you will change. I think it's possible that money won't matter, which is really annoying, because I spent a lot of time trying to make a lot of money. Finally get there, and someone wants to take it away from me, right? But that's what AI is going to be to the world, right? We have a 5 or a 10-year gap, and you're living in it right now. And in this gap, in this time, from when we go from where we are now until when it's really where it's going to be, is your opportunity. And then when that thing comes, the opportunity will be gone, and we'll all be about equal. So you've got about 5 or 10 years, and that's your gap. The difference between, people used to say when the internet came out, right? They used to say that, hey, we already have email. What is this internet thing, right? And with AI, it's a lot the same. People get frustrated right now with AI because it doesn't work, and we'll talk about that. It doesn't work exactly the way you'd want to work it. It's a little bit bulky. It's a little bit difficult, right? But if your mindset is such that you are going to ignore this thing, you are going to ignore the biggest opportunity in your life. And so you've got to jump on it. The good thing is, humans don't want to adopt things. We're cranky old men like myself. All right, this thing is falling off my ear. I need an AI bot here. Hold on. I'm going to need help. Old man alert. All right, that's like a stick here, though. I'll take a microphone. I'm way better with a microphone than this thing. All right, let's do this. One thing that we have going for us is, as humans, we hate to adopt things. We like the things the way they are. And I think the self-driving car is a pretty good example for us. Right now, an AI car drives way better than a human does. The data is really clear. But why don't you want to get in a car without a driver? Because you're a human being. And you're like, I'm not going to do that. It drives the car better. It flies the plane better. It already does everything else, but we still don't quite adopt it. Driving cars, within 5 years, 50% of all miles will be driven cars. We good? Yep. Can I give you this? Please ignore the disrobing that is happening on the stage right now. said, turn the other cheek. I'm not sure what he meant by that. We good? All right. Hopefully old man moments are out. So we are lucky in that we have a little bit of time, but the speed of adoption is our fault as humans. It's not AI's fault. It's our fault that we won't accept it in time. It's likely that you think about artificial intelligence the wrong way. I was impressed by the number of people who raised their hand and said, I'd use AI every day. There aren't a lot of rooms that so many people raise their hand. And so maybe you're the exception to this, right? But it's likely that most people think about AI the wrong way, and I'm going to talk about another way that you should maybe think about it. This is what we want AI to be. We go into our large language model and we type in, make me the marketing genius of the world, and we hit return and we wonder why it doesn't work, okay? AI doesn't work like that yet, okay? That's your human instinct that wants that to happen. Right now, this is a better representation of what AI is. It's a tool, it's an engine, and it carries other things. The problem with it it's built on that train track right now, where you have to put it together in a hodgepodge way, and the train track and the architectural engineering cannot handle what you're trying to do. And so the race over the next 5 or 10 years is going to be this architecture versus the artificial intelligence itself. Because artificial intelligence is a very narrow field. And you have to take the architecture of putting the AIs together one after another to get the results that you're looking for. So when you're training on AI, everybody wants to know the newest, coolest tool. It's pretty useless. There are like 30,000 new tools every single week on AI. What you should really be focused on is the architecture of how do I run the AIs together to get the result that I want. That should be what you're trying to do. AI is like a massive ocean of information and data. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to reach into something and you're trying to pull out that one little drop in the middle of that ocean that is giving you the answer that you're looking for. All right? And that's more architecture of the artificial intelligence than the artificial intelligence itself. Automation goes hand in hand with AI. And I'll talk about the models in a little bit. I'll talk about some of the tools in a little bit. But I just want to give my first one here is make.com. Make.com is a way for you to build the architecture, right? It is the way to automate the AI so that you can jump from AI to AI. That you can use one AI tool, then the next AI tool, then the next AI tool, and it can make it happen while you're going to bed. Go to YouTube and ask for make.com. Go to YouTube and say make.com, and it'll teach you how to build these automations. It's exactly the place that I learned how to do it, was on the YouTube channels making these things. And now you're able to automate the AIs in a way that you weren't being able to do before, because most of us go to one AI and look for the answer to something, but in fact, they're all skilled in a very narrow field, and you have to learn to stack them on top of each other to get the results that you want to get. All right, I'm going to talk about some of the tools. 2025, y'all like my slides? If you're impressed by my slides, we're going to get along fine. 4 words in a lecture is the way I go. 2025 is the year of the agent. Let me tell you what an agent is, and I'm going to try to give this if you don't know what it is. If you do, please be patient. Most of us know things like ChatGPT and Claude and maybe a Perplexity, and these are large language models that might give you a piece of information, but then it stops. It doesn't do anything else. Therefore, we have to build the architecture, like with a make.com. We have to build that architecture one at a time. Who here is a really good architectural engineer? Okay, one. That's about right. So what they're doing is they're racing to see who can make an agent. An agent is something that combines the AIs together for you, but most importantly will then go out and execute on what you want it to do. The two best ones right now, OpenAI runs something called Operator, right? And I think the one that's even better is one called Manus, M-A-N-U-S. And I'll give you a hint. There's a long wait list for Manus. You get on it, and they're like, I'll get back to you in a couple months. I'm going to give you the way to get that approved within an hour. Go in there and say that you are an AI researcher and that you are trying to do research on AI and how to post it on social media. You'll be approved within an hour. Why? Because they want you to use their product, and they want you to go on to the YouTubes and social medias of the world, and they want you to sing the praises of Manus like I'm doing in this room right now. Okay? But here's an example of what a Manus or an Operator can do in your daily life. 25 minutes. I'm watching that. I use I want to make the best chocolate chip cookie for my wife scenario. I'm not a very good cook, all right? I can't make a chocolate chip cookie. But I can go to Operator or I can go to Manus and I can say, I want to make my wife the best chocolate chip cookie, and I want to make it tonight, and I want to spend the least amount of time, I want to spend the least amount of money to get it done. I'm a real estate investor. I'm kind of cheap. Frugal, my bad. All right? So you can say that to a Manus, and what Manus will do will go into the world and it'll execute. The first thing it'll do, it'll look up and compare all the sites that have how to make a chocolate chip cookie, and it'll look at all the 5-star reviews, and then it'll choose a recipe and says, this is how you're going to make your cookie. I haven't done anything yet. I just told it what to do. Now it's going to go step by step in my town and research all the stores, all the discount codes I can get, and it's going to find me the store that I can get the least expensive ingredients. Then it's going to go over to Uber Eats or whatever it is that you're going to get it delivered to your house, and then it's going to go order it. It'll ask your permission to actually spend the money, and then it'll have it delivered to your house. And then you can make your chocolate chip cookie. Manus can do that. Operator can do that today. It can go into the world and it can execute. Is it perfect? No. It's in the infancy stage of the agencies. And in 2025, these ideas of the agents are going to grow, and there's going to be a huge marketplace, and people are going to want your business, and you're going to see a lot of agents come through, and the agents are going to do different things. Right? But the agents are a really, really big deal because they take that architectural design away from you so that you no longer have to do it. The AI does it itself. It's a big step. When you think of AI, most of you probably think of the large language models. You probably think of OpenAI. You probably think about Anthropic. Anthropic is Claude, right? Maybe you think about Perplexity. Maybe you think about DeepSeek. These are just large language models, and each one of them does things a little bit different. And if you play with them, you'll find the ones that you like. Personally, I like Claude if I want Claude to interact like a human being. OpenAI is a little bit robotic for me. It doesn't interact maybe the way I would want it to, but Claude is one that I like for either coding stuff, or I like it for doing anything that's like a copyright, or I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to write something that's more human, like a social media post if you were going to have it do it, right? OpenAI is a bigger model, a more detailed model, but it's still a little bit robotic. And you'll have to use and learn which ones are the best and which ones are not the best. But artificial intelligence is not the large language models. A couple things you should know about them. It's key to understand that the LLMs are designed to help you. That is their purpose and their design. And in that way, they're flawed. And I'm sure you've heard, and it was more prevalent at the beginning of when the LLMs came out. They weren't out, but they were really released to the public a couple years ago. But the idea of that it hallucinates and just makes up an answer. Do we understand that? Right? We've heard of that, I assume, and people get really frustrated with that, right? One of the reasons it's probably hallucinating is because you're being too polite to it. If you use the word please, and this is important to understand, if you use the word please, will you please go do this? The LLM will make a calculation in the history of mankind. If you say please, it means you're not guaranteed to get it. So when you say please, it will sometimes lie to you because it will expect that. Does that make sense? And so you kind of have to understand it at that basic level so that you're not making these decisions, you're not making these mistakes. Oh man, I got to hurry up. They're multimodal. And what that means is they can really use a lot of different sources of the data. Because all they do is they collect and they'll analyze the data for you. They can listen to your voice in a video, right? I went over here earlier and I recorded till I go on here. So I'm self-recording and taking my own data. So it can listen to me and it can hear me and then it can tell me all the things I did wrong with this speech, by the way. All right? It can look at a picture. A lot of people like to draw the pictures, but the real power of that multimodal there is that it can see a picture. It can take a picture of this room, right, and it can analyze all the people in this room. You can take a picture and it can count and tell you how many people are in the room. That's what a truly multimodal. It can take data from an Excel spreadsheet. It can take it from a PDF. It can take it from a text. It can take it almost like you can take it as a human being. You can listen to something and know what it means. You can see something and know what it means. You can read something and know what it means. And that's what the LLMs do in that multimodal model. All right. Similar to my wife, it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. I've heard that once or twice before. You got to be thinking about that with prompt engineering. And I'm going to tell you the basics to prompt engineering. And I have some good prompts up here later. I'm going to run you through some stuff. Every prompt should have approximately 3 parts. They should be very clear. Number 1, you're going to tell the LLM what they are. You're a specialist at knee surgery. You're a neurosurgeon. You're a specialist at writing social media posts. You're a specialist at reading a book. You have to tell it what it's going to be, right? And then you have to tell it exactly what you want. And that's where most people make the mistake in their prompt engineering. They're not specific enough what they want. Do you want a picture? Do you want an Excel file? Do you want it on a PDF? Do you want it in a table? Do you want them to draw caricatures of what you want? So you have to be very specific, and the more detailed you are, the better your result. And then the third thing that you put in there is all the context that you want. And the context can be tens of thousands of letters can go into the context. And so an example might be you are an expert at analyzing a business. I want you to produce a graph for me that shows you all the mistakes I'm making in my business. And then I'm going to take all the context of my business, everything that I have, all my data, everything, and I'm going to stick it up there as that third thing. And now I'm really starting to utilize what an engineer prompt is. One more hint on the engineering prompt. It's better to talk to an LLM than it is to type. Right? It learns on the human language, and we talk very differently than we write. And I would encourage you, when you start writing your prompts, to go in there and just free think what you want. And that way you can spit it out for a minute and a half or whatever it is. And then you put it into the LLM, and then it creates the right prompt for you. So I encourage you to use language, because that's what humans are best at, versus text. Don't type it, say it. I really wanted to make sure that I gave you some real use cases, because everybody doesn't seem to know what you can possibly do with the AIs. And I'm only going to give you 2 basic examples, okay? Number 1, this one. This is an AI that is done for you, right? This is where someone else came up with an idea. They created the architecture, and now they're going to sell it to you. And what Simply Wise does, and there's like 1,000 such apps, but I thought it was relevant to the people in this room. Simply Wise can take a picture of a house in disrepair. It's multinodal, so it can see the picture in the house and tell you what's wrong. And then it can plan out the renovation to your house, including the costs and the procedures and the manner in which you should do it. Anybody else in here a money lender? Right? I feel like this room is full of money lenders. Get out of here, you money lenders, you jerks. But all the time, people come to me with renovation costs. I don't want to make that trip to the property all the time, but I could take Simply Wise and have them go around the property, right? And then they can come back and I can get their exact scope of work and exactly how much it's going to cost. And of course, you can also load in like, hey, it costs more in California than it does in Richmond, right? So you can put that data into the base of Simply Wise, and it's just basically using a picture to give you a product. And that's one thing that AI does. We got that? That's one use case. You're going to find a lot of those use cases. They're only going to expand and grow, and you need to watch for them, and you can put them in your business. But y'all are a bunch of do-it-yourselfers. And I really wanted to take an example and explain it to you and lay it out for you so that you could go home and really do something which I think is pretty cool. All right. Build it yourself. I don't know why I keep looking back there. It's like right here. All right? I was thinking, what do these bums of real estate investors really need? Everybody's looking for a deal. Who wants a deal? I can't get deals, right? It's hard to get deals right now. And I was like, okay, how can I use AI and let them take this home so that they can make deals in their own backyard? And so I kind of came up with a way for you to use AI. You could take pictures of the prompts coming up. You're welcome to. I stole them from somebody else. You can steal them from me. They're given out to the world just like they were given to me. All right? So I said, okay, everybody in the room is going to know what a tired landlord is. We all know what a tired landlord is, right? What you have to do with the LLMs, and the LLM that I used for this example was I used Claude. Again, I just like Claude because of its interaction and the way it speaks to me and I can speak to it, okay? But everybody understands what a tired landlord is. And what we need to do is we need to give it a lot of data about tired landlords. Where do we find the information that is true and real about tired landlords? Where? Courthouse? I have found, much to my chagrin, that people tell you what they really think on the internet, right? Post enough times and tell me I'm wrong. People will give a review of a product. Do they go into that review and lie, or do they go in and tell the truth? They typically go in and tell, well, maybe sometimes if that's your buddy over there, all right? But typically they go in and tell you the truth of their experience. So the internet is the place to go get all your data, all right? And in this example, I went to Reddit. Do you think landlords get on Reddit and bitch about their life? What's that? I would tell you there is an endless amount of information on Reddit about tired landlords. So I went to my agent Manus. My agent Manus. And I simply gave it the command, go to Reddit and look up tired landlords and all the problems that landlords have. That was as simple as my prompt was. And then I went to bed. And when I woke up, Manus had gone out and collected a massive amount of comments from tired landlords in their own language about why they didn't like to be landlords, right? Because we're going to go after this market. Maybe I should have said that before. We're going to find a way, we want to market to those tired landlords in a competitive way that's better than our neighbor. Because in 10 years, you're not going to be able to do that. But right now, you can take control and then you can do it. And I'm going to walk you through what we did. So we went and we got the data. All right, what's the best place to get the data? Just talked about that. I said I went to Reddit on this one, which true because Reddit is open to everything. If you're in a Facebook group, you kind of got to be on the Facebook. Dealmaker shuts you down when you're scraping it all over the place. I wouldn't know anything about how that happened. Sorry about that, Jim. But these are the places that I go to get my data on this stuff. All right, here's my prompt. So I took all the data. I just put it into a PDF, actually. It's a pretty long PDF. And then I uploaded it to Claude, and then this is the prompt I wrote. All right? I defined what it was. Take on the role of direct response marketing researcher. That's what it's supposed to be. What do I want? Your task is to create a detailed audience avatar for individuals who are distressed landlords. What is it? What do I want? And then I gave it the context of what I wanted it to do. I want to go in. I want you to analyze it. I want you to create all that information. And this is what it output for me. I don't like a lot of words. But it starts to put out who those landlords are. It gives me the demographics of all of those people in there, right? Their age, their incomes, the occupations that they do, their background, their experiences. Then it tells me all the primary pain points of it. What's going on with that? What's going on? It's listening to them. And this is the LLM part of it. This is the Claude part of it that understands language and understands context, right? And it's able to figure out all these things. Another one. What are the psychological? What's the motivation? What's their emotional state? What's their goals, right? What's their behavior? How do they make their decisions, right? How do they like to communicate? What's their language? All these things can be really important if you're marketing to someone, right? Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find leads. We're trying to get to that tired landlord, all right? All right, so I got all that information. Prompt number 2, act as a direct response marketing researcher. Tell it what it is. Tell it what I want. Identify specific language and phrases consistently used by the audience to express like, desires, and aspirations. Do I have any copywriters in the room? One of the most powerful things that you can do when you're selling to somebody is use their own words back to them. Like if you're in the family room and you're talking to someone trying to get a contract, you should be listening to people's words, and you should make every single effort you can to say their words back to them. Right? That allows them to identify with you. And so it's super important, right? Pay close attention to recurring words, emotional tones, and patterns. Blah, blah, blah. That's the prompt. Knock it down. All right? Then it's going to analyze what it is, all those things for them. So we're going to go desires for what they want. What's the emotional tone? It gives me some marketing insights, right? Let's see, time management. So like, what are the landlords really concerned about? What is it that is really going to trigger them, right? What's the tenant relationship languages? So this is really trying to figure out what the language is so that you know how to speak to somebody. And oh, by the way, we've spent $0. We've spent no money, nothing. Didn't cost me a nickel to get here. How much does a copywriter cost? A lot, okay? Right? What's the financial success, right? Is I'm going too fast here? I'm sure Jim will give these out. But it's telling me the phrases that I need to do to identify with the people that are giving the language in their comments, right? Lots of cameras. That's a good sign. Tell her what to do. Act as a direct response marketing researcher. Number 2. Identify specific language and phrases consistently used in the audience to express dislike, objections, and concerns. Is that important when you're marketing to somebody? Super important, right? Pay close attention to the recurring words, emotional tones. I'm trying to grab who my audience is, and I'm trying to learn exactly how they speak. And this is what I get. All their key phrases, right? What are they concerned about? Their financial losses. Like, what are the most important things to them? What are they scared of, right? Are they worried about the property conditions? What's the emotional tone? Any multiple marketing insights all the time around here, right? Because we're asking for that information. Something that I didn't realize, I was kind of going through all the comments from Reddit. I could not believe the number of tired landlords that were complaining about water. Not something I ever would have picked up on, by the way, but it was a massive data point that so many people were talking about water and the water damage that goes in the house. Something I never would have predicted and I never would have known unless I used Manus to go scrape the web, all right? All right, key phrases, right? Value, right? Now I'm going to go through this. I'm going to try to create a character, right, that I can give a character prompt to put those things together, right? Continue as a direct response copywriter. Use the audience's language pattern as a foundation. Create a detailed persona and voice style that would most effectively appeal to this group. Design a writing style guide that includes ideal reading level, tonality, and personality traits that resonate with the audience and create trust. I'm trying to dial in on what exactly the tired landlord is. What are their concerns? What do I need to do to talk to them? We'll start going through these a little faster, right? All the way down to the reading level, right? Reading level, intelligence, how much I need to balance the images that I give the tired landlords. I'm not a copyright person. This is PhD level, zeroed in on a very specific topic, right? The voice characteristics, the do's, the don'ts, right? Anybody ever type anything into AI and like it sounds robotic? The most perfect thing to blend it with is you. And how do you blend it with you? You go and you record yourself, which is why I started here. Like I start to record my own language and how I talk, and I feed it into the machine in the same way that I went and scraped the Reddit stuff. There you go. I got a lot of it. Oh, you don't need to copy that. This is just me. This is where I keep a lot of I do all these podcasts, right? All my text, all my language, it's all there. It's click and drop, and I put it into the LLM, and then I give it this prompt. So if you want something for yourself so that it can talk in your language, the way you speak, the way you pause, this is the prompt for you. All right? And let's not read all the bad things that Rich Lennon does. Let's kind of roll right through that, the ums and the ahs, and okay, right, get rid of all this stuff. Let's just go through. So now I'm going to blend Rich Lennon's. Like I get a very detailed the way I talk, the way my mannerisms are, the way my pauses are, the way my transitions are, and I now integrate this into the persona that I created for the landlord, right? Does that make sense? Does everybody see where I'm kind of going with this, right? How much money have I spent? Zippy skippy, right? And so now I'm combining those two, and this is what it looks like. I got to run through it in like 4.5 minutes, all right? But the key phrase is that I should use the way I speak rolled into the way the landlords are already speaking. What's the commonality between the two? Message structure, I'm all over the place. It did say I talk confidently. That's probably not true. All right? And then I ended up here. Finally, it took me forever. The ultimate marketing campaign, acting as an expert in sales psychology, right? We changed what we wanted it to do and who it was. For direct response marketing, distressed real estate acquisitions, analyze and provide the customer data and audience insight. Develop a direct mail and text campaign, including postcard copyright, text message verbiage, and contact frequency to go after my distressed, tired landlord sellers. And here it is. Here are my postcards. They're all laid out. All the verbiage is in there that will identify a combination of the way I speak it and exactly the way they want to hear it. What do you think that will do for your conversions? It'll make a dramatic difference. That's why we hire copywriters, right? But now we can do it here as an individual. We don't need to read these, all right? There's another one, because it's going to give me the entire campaign, right? You saw the prompt. I wasn't specific about any of this stuff. The LLM came up with it all by itself. I'm running out of time. Postcard number 3. Here's my text campaign. It's telling me how to talk to it. It's telling me when to send it. This is all based on how the tired landlord wants to hear it, how they want to hear it. It dramatically increases my conversion rates on my ability to market. All right? I'll go back there, that one. That was a pretty good one too. All right? But it even tells me how to like track it and how to do the follow-up for it. We used to pay tens of thousands of dollars for this type of thing. It's available right now on your computer for free. And so when you go to your LLM and you're like, man, I keep typing into OpenAI and it's just not giving me what it wants. With all due respect, that's your fault, not the LLM's fault. And you have to master how to do those prompt engineerings, and you need to educate yourself a little bit, all right? I use tired landlords. You can do this for every marketing channel that you do. You can even find out where would they like to hear you from. Where does the probate? Has anybody ever tried to write a probate letter? Awkward. It'll write them for you. How do you engage in someone who's in foreclosures? Because you send them something, they get 20 things in the mail in 1 week. What's going to make you stand out? If you can put their words back into their mouth, it's going to make a difference. So instead of on Reddit looking for tired landlords, I just start looking for people who are going through foreclosures, right? You can be very specific and very quick. I talked to a couple people, I guess down in Huntsville. They sent out a really bad demand cease and desist on Airbnbs one day. Jump over to Reddit, see all the stuff that people are complaining about and all the fear they have for the Airbnbs, then create a marketing campaign that will Give them what they're feeling in that exact moment they're trying to solve. Maybe it's a flood in Houston. Y'all keep flooding all the time, okay? But you can then take what people are talking about in the community in that moment, and in like 30 minutes later, have a very exact campaign for them. Anybody ever try to find a specific person and you can't find them anywhere? They won't respond to you? Well, you can track them down online, read all their reviews, learn how they speak, and then speak to them in their own language. And what do you think the chances of them responding are? Much better than a generic one, because you're going to give them their own words back to them. It gets really scary. Oh, wait, now go back here. Okay. I'm sure nobody here would do this. And I'm sure nobody here is single. All right? But what happens if you wanted to meet that magical person? You could go figure out and do something exactly like this and go find out everything about them with Manus, speak back to them in their own language, and Manus could tell you when and how to talk to them in a way that will resonate with them and get them to give you some attention. Super awkward to pull it out at the dinner table when you're inviting them to dinner. So I suggest you work on your game a little bit and don't just rely on it. You can do this stuff now for free. This is 5 prompts. And I'm very dialed in on your topic and the things that you care about. Every single micro topic in the world can be done the same way. Right? It can be done in this amount of time. Okay? In conclusion, we're likely living in a simulation. Are you the NPC, non-player character, or am I the NPC, the non-player character? Am I in your world, or are you in my world? I can't figure it out, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to the next 10 years. I want to thank Jim for allowing me to come up and have this conversation. I want to apologize to Rita, who sent me some very nice emails asking me for my presentation about 17 times. I politely ignored her. I apologize for that. Rita was very helpful. I want to say thank you to her very much. If you are interested in me, this is a way to contact me or find me. This is my podcast. You can find everything from there. I hope you guys take a moment to know that you're in this gap. You're in this 10 years, and 10 years is going to be over. And you need to dive into AI. You need to learn how to do that infrastructure, and you need to learn all the powers that can be, because as it sits right now, it can change your life. All right, that's it.
So well, you got a standing ovation. Are you guys, how many of you guys are a little scared after that? How many of you guys are a little inspired at the opportunity